everyone, and welcome to this episode of Discovering Laguna Woods. I'm Cindy Whitney, and today we're going to be spending some time with Selma Buckstein, whom you may know as the Last Doll Lady. Well, we're going to be spending some time talking to Selma about her work as a doll lady. We're also going to learn that she is a historian, an educator, a humorist, a storyteller, and a powerful advocate for change. I think you're going to really enjoy this episode as we learn about Selma's work, her life, and her play. And you're going to be really inspired because she is the indomitable Selma Buckstein. Stay tuned.
Ben Hogan on the verge of his second title.
Nicholas
Johnson, McElroy,
and now Watson. These are sportsmen coming in one after another. Now comes the decisive shot.
Expect anything different? What a way to win. What a way to finish.
The U.S. Open begins June 13th, all part of the USGA Championships on Fox and FS1.
Dental health is important, and it can be tough to find the best fit for your needs. Flora Stenger General and Specialty Dental Practice covers most of my dental needs in one location. Their on-staff specialists provide seamless services and communication between me, my doctors, and my insurance company. Located right down the road from Laguna Woods, our bus service stops right in front of their building. For the first time, I'm getting the dental care I need with the treatment I deserve. And my dental health has never been better. Call and book your first appointment today. I'm glad I did. So hi everyone. We are now sitting here talking to Selma Buckstein. And Selma, I want to welcome you to our show.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. Well, we know you a little bit around the village as the Last Doll Lady. But there's so much more about you that we want to get into today. But for those who might not be aware of what the Last Doll Lady means, could you give us an overview of the Heroes of Democracy program?
Well, this program was started by a B'nai B'rith women. It was a national organization, and they had 240 chapters. And they, in Kansas City, they came up with the idea of, they had dolls that this woman was making, and they wanted to fight the prejudice of 1950. Yes. Ooh. So, hasn't changed. But the Cecil Week was a sculpture. She had sisters, and the husband did the wiring, and she did the face and then the clothes. And I know someone that saw it, that met Juliette Lowe, and said that is exactly what she looked like. So these are very true to and beautiful dolls, and these are humanitarians that have worked to help people, and they all had handicaps, they all had problems, yes. And yet what they did with their lives for others. I want these kids to know what democracy means. I touch democracy, but what brotherhood, and I want to fight this bullying. Bullying gets a little worse, and it gets into hate, and gets into prejudice, yes. And gets into genocide, it gets into yes. The Holocaust. I mean,
yes. And you know what, I want to see if we can list some of the dolls, because you had a choice. Weren't there originally 150 dolls?
Hundreds.
And you chose these particular
She made over
individuals.
1,000 dolls.
Well, tell us which dolls you chose to work with, because it sounds like you had a reason for choosing each one of them.
That's true. Lincoln, I have Abraham Lincoln, of course, and when I tell the kids, I'll give you a clue, and if it's near February, they catch it. But Lincoln, I tell him about he educated himself. Yes. He didn't go to schools.
Right.
And the thing about him that his religion was what is the golden rule. But I talk about the slavery problem, yes. And I make them say Emancipation Proclamation 3 times.
So they'll get it.
4th grade, and I go to 4th to 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, I present a little more value.
Yes.
But someday they'll remember emancipation. Then the next one I have is George Washington Carver. A lot of people don't realize that he could have been a very wealthy man.
Yes.
But, well, he started out, number one, I wanted to tell them about the courage of the lady that owned him. she could have gone to jail for teaching him how to read and write.
Imagine.
That was bravery.
Can these young children today and throughout those years even begin to understand that when you're personalizing slavery and being owned by another human being?
He was 6 years old.
And you're telling how someone broke away from that. And of course, he changed the agricultural history of our country.
Well, George Washington Carver loved to see how things grew.
Yes.
A farmer. And he, when he was 6 years old, emancipation freed him, and he wanted to go to school. The schools were not for children of skin color. But they couldn't get in. But he found it. He washed clothes, everything, to keep him safe. And Ford, Henry Ford, asked him to come to work with him. And he said, no, I'm going to stay here in the South and help the farmer, help the black child get into schools. And of course, he devised, he's famous for the peanut, finding hundreds of uses of a peanut, sweet potato. I mean, he was outstanding in that field.
And how to rotate crops. They didn't understand how to, they just grew the cotton, and he would put these soybeans and peanuts and other things in there so that the soil wouldn't be depleted. I mean, he was a scientist, a self-taught scientist.
Yes.
That's remarkable. Okay, how about Mother Cabrini? I bet a lot of people didn't know about her.
Well, when I usually go to Einstein first and talk about his being an immigrant. Why he had to escape Germany for the Holocaust. I go to Mother Cabrini, who was a child in Italy, sick child, but wanted to help, wanted to do something. And she became a sister and a nurse, and they told her to go to New York. A lot of immigrants. I said, no, what is an immigrant? When I said, we're all immigrants.
Yes.
Your great-grandfather had the courage to leave his house and come here to a strange country. I said, we're all immigrants, and that is what I want the kids to know.
Yes.
We're all immigrants.
Yes.
So and she, of course, started hospitals and schools.
Orphanage, which it sounds
little
crazy,
girl, I
doesn't
said, do you
it?
know what an orphanage is? One little girl knew.
Yes.
That's a place when you don't have parents.
But that was important in those days because there were a lot of children without parents. It was a very difficult time,
orphanage,
and she wanted them to be cared for.
Yeah. I
learned something else about her. I did a little homework that she had a great fear of water, and yet she crossed the ocean 27 times on the ships of that day because this work was so important to her. Patron saint.
She helped the people, and and of course Helen Keller. I don't have to tell you.
Well, but when you tell these children, can they even imagine what she went through?
You're running around at 2 years old, and you love her. You get sick, and then you're better.
Yeah,
your world is stopped.
Yes.
But thank goodness they were able to find a teacher as good as
Annie Sullivan.
I mean, it's wonderful that this woman stayed with the. Of course, she had an eye problem too.
Yes.
But these people had great courage. Really did. Even Juliet Lowe, deaf in 1 year, she made believe she didn't hear you if you wouldn't volunteer. And I don't have to tell you about the Martin Luther King.
Of course.
And where he helped not just black people. He didn't help just, he helped everybody. Where he was shot in Memphis, he was there to walk and support the garbage people, garbage collectors.
Yes.
All colors.
Yes.
So that is my message, to fight the prejudice. And I usually give away the lyrics for the song. Oscar Hammerstein in South Pacific wrote a song about they have to be taught. You have to be taught. And in the very end it says, and you have to be taught to hate the people your relatives hate. You have to be, I mean, I give this because it tells people, a kid isn't starting out as a prejudiced person.
No, to resist that.
That's what I do.
But you did, and you also mentioned to me that you do a hands-on with the children when you're talking about Helen Keller, that you have a book it is Braille, and of course you said no pictures, but it's all, the type is in Braille, and they can feel that. And then what do you do with this, did you tell me?
I give each children this is a Braille ABC. And I tell them, okay, figure out your name.
They have to find their name in Braille. And so they get to experience what it would be like to read this way. Isn't that something?
Taryn called, what is the highlight? One thing find one thing that when I was giving it to, I think it was about a 5th or 6th grader, and in the class, the teacher says, you know, we do have a boy that is blind in class, and he came in the front, and he took up this big book, and he started to read. Well, he walked back like he was king, and all of the kids,
He was.
what respect was in their eyes then.
Yes. Yes.
That
yes.
was the best.
Well, I love that you do this experiential learning with them, saying the words Emancipation Proclamation 3 times
it's
so
a
they
give and
get
take
it.
program.
Right.
The one thing about the principals do say that it's the seeing the dolls, touching them, and not touching them, but touching the braille.
Yes.
Going away with a bookmark and seeing me as a person.
Yes.
Talking about these
Yes.
problems.
Yes,
That's
but you're also giving them a historical context for this too. You're not just saying, here are these people, here's what they did. You're talking about what it was like during the Civil War, what it was like as an immigrant for Mother
Brother
Cabrini.
against brother.
Why was there a need for a Girl Scouts of America?
Yeah.
You know, all of these things. Why is it important? Why were these people in the right place at the right time to do some good work?
They made it.
They did. Now, speaking of good work, I understand that this wasn't something new to you. It became a, what was it, Dolls of Democracy? and
It was
became
Dolls of Democracy.
And now,
And one kid said dolls,
I know, they don't want
and so I said, no, heroes of democracy.
action figures of democracy.
They're my heroes. So no more dolls.
But you've been doing this a long time, because I understand that when you were in New Jersey, there weren't libraries in all the town. You said it was
New Jersey. You mean East Orange, New Jersey?
East Orange, New
That
Jersey.
was quite a place to live. But when I moved to Missouri,
okay.
in a town of 3,000,
Oh, that's where you had the
and a farm community,
right.
They had a room at the city hall, and they had some books there, and it rained and they ruined. And then my friends in this town and I got something tax got it through to build a little building for a library. And the hardest thing is the state librarian in Missouri came down to see what we were doing, and he said to throw away those books that got wet. I couldn't.
No.
I couldn't.
No.
It was like burning a book. And if they were readable at all, I went into the hills, and people lived in log cabins in the hills in Missouri.
Yeah.
I mean, those times.
Yes.
And then we're talking 65 years ago.
Yes.
So I would give it, to them, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
No. But that became the start of the library. Besides it being just a
then
one room,
we went.
then
we
it was
went,
a library.
Yeah, we went up there. Then we pushed.
But then you told me then in another place that you lived, some children drowned.
Well, outside of Chaffee, Missouri. Now, Chaffee, Missouri is right next to 17 miles from Cape Girardeau, Missouri. That's the middle, right between St. Louis and Memphis on the Mississippi. Well, this 3,000 little town, in a neighborhood farm, 2 little boys, 7 years old, died, drowned. And I said, everybody has to know how to swim. And luckily, the WPA, years before, had built a pool, above pool, in this town, on the highway. And this whole area, we offered them a swim program for 25 cents registration. It wasn't free.
Right.
25 registration, and we taught swimming. Myself, I was a lifeguard, myself and a college football player helped me.
Isn't that amazing? Now, see, this is what sets you apart, Selma, because I think a lot of other people would just wring their hands and say, isn't that sad and tragic that those little boys drowned in that pond, and how sad. But you're an activist. You take these things and you say, what can we do?
It's in the mother's milk, I don't know.
Well, you're still doing it, because I think that the Heroes of Democracy program is something that is still working today, isn't it? Now, tell me, you've gone into schools recently, and these kids have digital everything.
No, I can't get in. The last 4 or 5 years, I can't get into the school. They have testing, they can't do it. They don't have the time, they don't know what it is. I mean, there's always some block, and I made DVDs and sent them to 12 schools with the teacher's supplement and everything. They didn't, after I call and call and call, they don't answer the call. So recently I went to a church.
Yes,
a church.
In your documentary, there was a group of children that you did present this to.
No, this was just the last 2 weeks.
Okay. But
I went to a church, and those kids, one kid, boy, he must be a reader, because every time I gave him a clue, his hand went up. He knew about that person. But anyway, so that is where I've given it to adult groups, but of course I would rather give, what I'd like to do, and I've been trying to reach them, and I can't, is the homeschooled. I feel that they're not as well equipped, possibly. I would love to, and every time I've tried, I get wall. But I'll keep trying. I'll keep.
I guess my question is, in a digital age, I'll give you the example. My grandson, he was 8 at the time, he said, "Oh, Grandma," he said, "I started a garden." And I said, "That's wonderful. Can I see it?" And he took out his iPad and he had a garden. It was an app. And I said, "That's not a garden. You have to plant." He didn't plant anything. He just had an app on his iPad, and that was his garden. It's like Farmville.
I don't have one.
Well, but
I don't want to know.
Well, but I said, no, you have to get out and dig the dirt and plant it.
Yeah.
So in a digital age, giving a physical representation of a historical person and telling their story, does this still resonate with children, do you think?
Well, yes, the principals say yes. 2018, I felt that, I'm 93. How long can I remember? And so I put it on a video.
Yes.
So if they'll see what I gave,
yes,
and if with hopes that other people, there were hundreds, not thousands, hundreds of doll ladies in this country, that each chapter had a few. They would go to the school, and the chapter kept their own. These are mine, but the chapter kept it. So it's needed. It really is needed. High school's too late. Come on, high school, they've already set in their ways, but maybe college could change them. I don't think high school. But anyway, the grade school is where these kids are forming their ideas, and that's where we really have to hit them there with the really brotherhood, and do for others, and don't give up, persevere, and have a dream.
And also the fact that you're calling these particular individuals out as heroes. This is how we're defining hero. It's not the Avengers, it's not the X-Men, these are heroes. These are ordinary people who did extraordinary things, and if we call these people heroes, that's going to mean something to them, do you think?
Well, when I go for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I have, the dolls are not made, because these are recent people.
Yes.
I have pictures and framed them, and they sit there, of people who, from different countries, Muslim, Buddhist, different countries. One woman was a lawyer in an Arab country, and she was a judge and a lawyer, in and out of jail. And there was a woman in Thailand, in and out of jail, for working for human rights.
Yes.
And then I come back to this country. I said Cesar Chavez worked for the good of others.
Yes.
The good of others.
Yes.
And Muhammad Ali, he stood up to his ideals, and he would not come down to what other people wanted him to do.
That's right.
He had high ideals. So I have him.
Yes.
Fighter. He was a fighter.
Yes.
So I want these kids to know it isn't just sweetness and light going against the general feeling when you're doing right.
Right.
When you're doing right, you're swimming upstream sometimes.
We have Malala, who is, I think, a contemporary hero of theirs,
Look at
because the youngest Nobel laureate. And you can even go to philanthropists like Bill and Melinda Gates, who are taking their wealth and investing that in educating people around the world. So there's
responsible wealth.
Yes.
And I know people that say, tax me, tax me. They belong to an organization called Responsible Wealth.
Yes.
Tax me.
Yes. Yes.
You know.
Yes, exactly.
So,
and take that money and invest it in humanity.
And then I hear such outlandish things that people buy, and I think how much that could feed.
Well, I know we really need to rethink many of the things that we do.
And then people still say, well, they can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I did. They did.
Well,
a lot of people think that, well, they had a factory or something.
Yes.
But who built the road to the factory?
Yes.
Who protects them? The police protects them. It's a social thing. Everybody helps everybody else.
Yes. Yes, it's a complex thing, but I think as you're doing and have done for your whole life, start with the young children in those formative ages, and they think about what is good, what is considered good, what is considered right, what is considered heroic, what is, helping others has such great value as opposed to just being a consumer of things.
Standing up to bullying. Oh boy.
Well, now that I like that you brought
hard.
that up. Tell me the work that you do now. These individuals that these dolls aren't necessarily considered anti-bullying people. But what do you give examples when you talk to young people now? When you talk about bullying, is there a hero?
Well, we talk about what is bullying.
Yes.
In fact, one time I couldn't think of the word bullying. So I said, when you get knocked down, called names, pushed,
yes.
What is that called? And everybody said, bullying, bullying.
You said to
Afterward, I said to the teacher, I said, oh, I was sweating. So she said, that's a technique.
Of course.
And I said, she said, it's a teaching technique. I said, oh, I was a recovery room ICU nurse. I wasn't a teacher.
Yes.
But that was horrible. And that's one reason I did the video with the program.
Yes.
At 93, the memory's going.
Well, I can't tell that by you. No, I know, and also you're being celebrated. I think we should certainly talk about your documentary. You're being celebrated in a documentary that is being produced by documentarian Taryn Huff, and she has a 22-minute documentary presently, but you tell me about PBS.
Yeah, she is.
She's
I
great.
never expected to do. I expected to die quietly, and then my son said, "Mother, I'll take the dolls and I'll give it." He's a doctor, but when he retires, he'll do it. But then Karen came into my life and made this documentary.
Yes.
It's been in 35 or more, gotten so many awards, and now she signed a contract for the public television. In fact, she was called from Canada that please send the documentary to them and they'll waive the entrance fee. The entrance fee of some of these things are $65. So she's been sending, it's a wonderful thing that she did for my life, and I hope it's successful in having people start this again, going into the school. A lot of these are in libraries, in display cases, but that's not working. They're not working. They should work.
No.
And I just feel badly that I'm the last one, but I've been trying many years to try to get other people interested.
So through the documentary and through this, your conversation that we're having now, this is your call to action then, isn't it? You're saying the program still exists, it's still viable, there's still certainly a great need for it. This hasn't been replaced by digital. This is a real vehicle.
And we want to get, we're right now, the public television wants 40 minutes, and the documentary is only 22. So we're doing a program of getting these into a museum's display case, and then through display, maybe then people will see it. And one idea is to identify, and you get a gift or something. If you identify, that have the names on them, but identify who these people are
and what they've done.
And have a game of it. But anyway, and we're working on that. And I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed about the awards we have gotten.
I am.
Yeah,
I'm not amazed. I think
No,
it's well deserved.
I'm amazed.
Well, and you know, you said, you know, why would someone do a documentary? People do documentaries because those are unusual stories that need to be told, and yours certainly is. And Selma, the time has just whizzed by, and I want to thank you so much for coming
thank
here.
you for inviting me.
And having this conversation. This is wonderful, and showing us your beautiful
I'm sorry
dolls.
Taryn couldn't be here.
Well, we're going to celebrate Taryn too in our show. So she's an amazing person, and she is as vivacious and as energetic.
She's a daughter. I had 5 sons. She's my daughter.
She's your daughter. Well, I love her too. I've enjoyed meeting her as well. So Selma, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you and know you and know your work, and we're just thrilled to have you here in Laguna Woods. So
thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and we'll be right back. Dental health is important, and it can be tough to find the best fit for your needs. Flora Stenger General and Specialty Dental Practice covers most of my dental needs in one location. Their on-staff specialists provide seamless services and communication between me, my doctors, and my insurance company. Located right down the road from Laguna Woods, our bus service stops right in front of their building. For the first time, I'm getting the dental care I need with the treatment I deserve. And my dental health has never been better. Call and book your first appointment today. I'm glad I did.
Ben Hogan on the verge of his second title.
Nicholas,
Johnson, McElroy,
and now Watson. These are sportsmen coming in one after another. Now comes the decisive shot.
Expect anything different? What a way to win. What a way to finish.
The U.S. Open begins June 13th, all part of the USGA Championships on Fox and FS1.
Thanks for joining us today as we spent some time talking to the wonderful Selma Buckstein, and we learned about the important work that she's doing to change the hearts and minds of so many people. We also want to say a big thank you to Taryn Huff, who is the documentarian working on the fabulous film about Selma's life and work. Please watch us every Wednesday morning at 9:30 on Village Television, and don't forget to like us on YouTube Village Television, and join us every single time right here on Discovering Laguna Woods.